Welcome everyone to Spotlight Interview. George DeMatteis in studio with Chris Algieri. We have Paulie Malignaggi, George Jakovic, and Teddy Atlas joining us to talk to the recently crowned WBA Featherweight Champion of the World, Raymond Ford. Look at the smile on his face there. You know he's a champion. And George, a fellow New Jerseyan. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it is a champion.
New Jersey, and I'm proud of it. You are another champion from New Jersey, another champion from Camden, joining Dwight Muhammad Kwawi. So I got to go to the first thing. 7 seconds to go in that fight. You're down on 2 scorecards. You're bleeding. You get the knockout. You become featherweight champion of the world. What was it like, man? What were the feelings?
The feelings in the moment, it was just, it was crazy. The fight was crazy. The whole build up, everything was just crazy. So, like you just seen the raw emotion, after, I got the job done. It was just like a surreal moment for me.
Did you know, Raymond? And again, congratulations from all of us. We're very happy for you.
Thank you.
And as Chris said earlier, he was there and he couldn't be happy. All of us couldn't be happier. Did you know, or did your corner feel that you were behind going into that last round? And did you feel like you needed a knockout to win that fight?
No, I didn't know I was behind. My corner didn't really say I was behind. They just was saying pretty much that it was a close fight, and they wanted me to pick it up because, we was fighting on a top ranked card that was their fighter, and we was the B side. So they just wanted me to pick it up more and dominate a little bit more.
We here, we always talk about comparing movies sometimes to real life, and where sometimes it parallels real life. When I was watching your fight, it made me think after the third round, because the third round, your opponent, Komatov, he was ahead at that point. The first 2 rounds I thought were very close, a lot of fencing with the jab, looking to counterpunch. Both of you are, high-level fighters and technically very sound, both of you. And I thought Komatov might have had a slight edge. And then the third round, it looked like he took charge of the fight, that he caught you a good shot in the third round, and he was being aggressive. And it looked like he was trying to impose his will on you, and even his physicality on you, that you were the guy that was doing most of the boxing. He was looking to see if he could have the edge by being more physical, more aggressive. And then all of a sudden, and the movie I referred to, and I really thought it, I said, this is that movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. All of a sudden, you traded places with him, and you come out in the fourth round. I thought your corner did a great job of not just technically keeping you on the right road, but mentally. And that's the most important part for me, 75% of it. And I think for everybody, the mental part, being in the right place mentally and being obviously pushed when you have to be pushed and reminded when you have to be reminded and not lied to. Because a lot of times guys, they lie to the guys just to keep them happy, whatever. They think they have to go along to get along. And you ain't doing them no favor, because in the end, the truth's going to come out. It all comes out. So he was very honest with you. And all of a sudden, I saw a change. You became a different guy. You became the aggressor. And all of a sudden, Komatov became the boxer. And you just switched identities. And from that point on until later in the fight, you took charge. And I thought it was a pivotal point very early, and I always think it's important early. Like I always say, if you have a garden, and you see a couple of weeds popping up in your rose garden, you don't wait until there's 100 weeds. You start pulling the weeds early so you don't get to the point where you got 100 weeds in a garden. Your corner man pulled the weeds early and said, hey, you gotta get on top of this. You gotta start becoming a boss, whatever he told you. And all of a sudden, as I said, you changed your approach. All of a sudden, you're the aggressive. I thought it was like a cat-dog fight, where you were the cat, he was the dog, and then after the third round, you became the dog, and you were chasing the cat. And and it went that way until later in the fight. And then it switched back and forth. It was a very interesting fight. Can you comment on that? Because the change was vivid. I mean, it was very vivid. You became, I don't know if you became Eddie Murphy or Dan Aykroyd. I'm not sure, but you became different.
Yeah. So like you said, it was, we both was kind of like trying to figure each other out, get our range down. Both trying to, box a little bit. In the third round, he started, to land a few more, solid shots. I feel like he caught me with his best shot in the third round, and I took it. And then at that point, like once that round finished, I knew like I had to change things up and give him a different look. He was expecting me to beat a boxer, so yeah, I decided to change it up, step to him to see how he liked being pushed back. We never really seen him, be pushed back in videos and taping and things like that. So I decided to take it to him, and I knew I had a better inside game than him because his inside game, he's kind of strong, but a lot of his shots he throws them wide, and I got like a good defense to where like I can catch and shoot, and I'm fast enough to catch and shoot and get my shots off.
Yeah, Ray, when I was calling that fight that night, I saw that adjustment. And you had quicker hands on the inside, you threw the shorter punches. And exactly to your point, Kalmatov, he was a big puncher, especially from the middle distance and the outside. But in the inside, he kept that same looping punch style. And you were getting there quicker and faster. And I believe it was about round 7 or 8. I leaned back in my broadcast chair, and me and Tim Bradley catch eyes. And we're pointing at your corner, going, the tide's changed. The momentum is now shifted into this man's corner, this man's side. He knows what's going on in there. Did you feel that? Did you feel like, all right, the momentum is going my way. I'm going to get this guy. Because you were fighting like, I'm going to get you eventually. Even though you might be winning these rounds, even though these rounds are close, you just had an aura about you like, oh, I'm going to get you no matter what. Was that the feeling that you were experiencing?
Yeah, I started to, see, like I noticed the difference in like his attitude and his body language when I was pushing him back and touching his body. He didn't like it. He started using his legs more, started to box. We never really seen him do that much in film. So, so once I seen the change, I knew I was doing the right thing and I just had to stick to it. And like you said, like eventually I knew I was going to end up getting to him because I felt him breaking down. Mm-hmm. Same thing as sparring, like even in the corner, they said it. My coach was saying that like, this is what happens. Like we've been here before. When we spar and I'm walking guys down, this is how they break down. This is nothing new. Like we've seen this before. So that's basically what it was. Like I knew eventually I was going to catch up to him. He was going to get tired. He was going to break down. He was throwing a lot of punches, but eventually like he didn't have the same snap on his shots. A lot of his punches wasn't landing. So I knew eventually I was going to get to him.
Ray, what's funny is I was thinking about after the fight, when you get the scorecards, there's a thin line in fights like this, man. And obviously that thin line is, you rescued the victory from the jaws of what would have ended up being a close defeat if you don't get that stoppage. I don't know if you thought about this. If the referee, I thought you had a knockdown right before that. I thought that should have been counted a knockdown in your favor when the referee called it a slip. But it ended up benefiting you because if he ends up calling out a knockdown, Kalmatov has 8 seconds to kind of recover and get himself back together, and you may not end up stopping him right there, and then you end up with a draw. Did you think about that? The fact that the referee didn't call it a knockdown in your favor ended up actually helping you get the stoppage because it forced Kalmatov to go right back into the fight where you were able to jump all over him and stop him.
Yeah, I thought about that a lot after the fight. It was kind of
like he did you a favor, bro. Not counting the knockdown, he did you a favor.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And it just goes to show, like, I felt like it was a little bit of favoritism going on, like especially when the knockdown came. I did feel like that was a real knockdown, but it just backfired. Yeah. So I felt like everything happens for a reason. It was just meant for it to happen like that. They wasn't going to count the knockdown, so I just had to go in there and take the fight.
And in a close fight, at that moment I don't know the scorecard. So in that moment I'm thinking like, man, they just robbed an extra point away from this kid, man. And every point is so critical in a fight like that. It's so close. Obviously now I know if you would have got the knockdown, the fight would have ended in a draw and you wouldn't have got the title. But in that moment, I'm like, man, they just screwed this kid, man, out of a knockdown. And then you just come right back and get the knockdown. Oh, that was like a movie, bro. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand. You won the title like a movie, bro. You know?
Nah, y'all been getting a lot of that lately. Like they've been saying it was like a Rocky movie and things like that. But in a moment, it was just like it was one of those situations where it was like I'm still stuck in the moment. So it's like I wasn't looking. I didn't even know like what time, how much time I had left. I didn't hear the clapper.
10-second
Yeah,
tap.
yeah, I didn't hear that. So because the crowd was going so crazy, so I didn't know what the time was. I was just locked in on the fight and just trying to complete the mission. So that's what that was.
Well, there was 7 seconds to go, and you said you were going to get him eventually. Man, you really waited because you got him with 7 seconds to go. I want to talk about something you said. I think you had some issues making weight because you started off the fight a little slow. What was that an issue for you in this fight? Your weight?
Yeah, it was kind of, and then I want to say like a little bit of it was like me being off for a little minute. I couldn't it was kind of hard time in Otibet, and that wasn't just due to me having a tough week, cause it was also him having a good boxing IQ and good footwork at the same time. So I don't want to take nothing away from him, but yeah, I couldn't find like my timing early on. I couldn't find like the distance early on. So that was another reason why I decided to step into the pocket a little bit and basically take the fight to him, because I couldn't really get my timing down and my feet felt like I was in quicksand. So yeah.
We're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll have more with the WBA featherweight champion of the world, Raymond Ford, here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. Back here, spotlight interview with Camden, New Jersey's finest, Raymond Ford, the WBA featherweight champion of the world. All right, Teddy, you had a question for Ray, the Savage, by the way, great nickname, Savage Ford. What was your question for him, Teddy?
And a gentleman too.
Yes.
And you can see an honest kid, giving credit to Komatov in the right way and saying that he wouldn't want to take anything away from him. So behaving like a champion already outside the ring, not only inside the ring. And then really that's why you want to fight. I always talk about it's not about only fighting like a champion. It's about behaving like one when the moment comes, when the devil knocks at the door. And when the devil knocked at the door, you knew how to behave like a champion, And that moment comes. I mean, there's no avoiding it, whether it's the 10th fight, 20th fight, 30th fight, whenever it is. It doesn't even necessarily come when you fight for the title, but eventually it's going to come in your career, and you answered that call like a champion. That's why you're a champion now. I just wanted to say that. But in the 8th round, you hurt him. Again, you hurt him with the uppercut. You hurt him with the jab, but you hurt him with an uppercut. And then to me, the right there was like, you got control of this fight now. Like Paulie said before, you took control of the flow of the fight. And all of a sudden, the 9th round, talking about behaving like a champion, Komatov behaved like a guy who wanted to be champion. He came back. He came back, and I don't know if he caught you by surprise or you took a round off because you've been in the pocket. You've been doing a lot of work. Like I said, you became the boss of the fight all of a sudden for the last several rounds since the 3rd, from the 4th round on, and all of a sudden he comes back and has a big 9th round, and he needed it. I mean, he had to change the momentum, otherwise the fight was basically over. What was going on in your mind? Because then the 10th and 11th, he outworks you to a certain degree. And then at the end of each round, which I really found really interesting at the end, the way it ended, because at the end of each round, you catch him a big shot. At the very end, the end of the 10th, the end of the 11th, you catch him. It's like he's starting to try to take control of the fight again, the championship rounds. And then just at the nick of time, just before the bell, you catch him a big shot, like to let him know, no, you're not grabbing this. You're not yet. And then what do? In the 12th round, I mean, you love drama. Obviously, you must be going to be a movie script writer later on in your second career, because then in the 12th, again, you go back and forth, great fight, back and forth, and and you wait to the very end, and it looked like you needed it, to be honest. Well, as Paulie said, and Chris, you did need it. The two of the scorecards say you needed it. And then you wait to the very end. And again, just like the 10th and 11th, you catch him a big shot. But this time you finish the show. I mean, walk us through that, because it was pretty damn interesting. And by the way, and dramatic. And don't do that to your trainers no more. Because really, don't do that. It's not nice. Walk us through that, please. From the point I said, the 8th you heard him, looks like you're completely in control, and then all of a sudden he flips the script.
Yeah, so I knew in the 8 I had a big round. That was the round, like, I'm thinking like, all right, I know I got control of this fight. Like, it's over now. Like, I know I'm gonna get to him, I'm gonna stop him. And then the 9th round came, he got on his toes. I'm thinking like he's still going, like his energy wasn't going to be as good as it was, but he caught a second win and he got on his toes. He started boxing more. So then at that time, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just, take this round off, catch my breath.
That's what I thought. You did take the round off.
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah.
You actually thought that.
Yeah.
All right.
I let him, move around, burn a little bit more energy, and at the same time allowing myself to, catch my breath and get my second win. So I just took that round off, and then 10th round come. 10th round, they was telling me like, okay, we need the rest of these rounds, these championship rounds. So we need all of them. I feel like the 10th round, I think I was boxing a little bit more. I think I got on my jab as soon as we came out. There was times where he had moments in that round too.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of like me. It might be just me because it's me, but I thought I kind of won that round. But then the 11th round come, and I clearly was outboxing him early on. He was running in the shots. I hit him with a straight left hand, a couple hooks, and then I hit him with an uppercut. But at the time when I hit him with an uppercut, I tried to come across with a hook, but he came in at the same time and cut my eye. So once he cut my eye, that's when I tried to, let the ref know, but the ref, he didn't say anything until like 40 seconds later. But he felt like he had a little momentum. He was throwing a lot of punches, wasn't really landing much. But yeah, once the ref got in between and basically said it was an accidental cut and stuff like that, I got back to boxing. I feel like I ended the round strong. I feel like that was kind of my round too. And then 12th round come, and I just knew like I had to be real calculated on my shot selection, so I can get the big ones in there. The ones and the shot that I caught him with the uppercut, that wasn't even the shot that I really put everything on. I put a lot onto the left hand. The left hand was the shot that I was really looking for. I felt like it was right there, but he got out of the way of it. He dipped, and then he kind of was like positioned. I kind of positioned him for the uppercut to come over, and that was that.
Yeah, Ray,
You
you
were
mentioned
both southpaws. I just want to say that you were both southpaws, so that made it pretty interesting too.
Yeah, Ray, you mentioned the jab, and I think that might be a little bit of an overlooked weapon of yours. It's something that you got going very early on, and you were landing very hard, solid jabs, and your jab has no fat on it. That's what I like to say when it's just it gets the job done. It's very workmanlike, and that's why I think a lot of people don't realize how much work you're actually doing with that. I caught that. I was seeing those jabs. You were doing damage to his nose. You're offsetting him a lot because he's a puncher, and I was very impressed with him as well. I didn't see that good of a fighter on tape. When he came out, he had the power. Obviously, we saw that in the fights coming up. But his ability to change up during the fight and to adjust and then get on his toes and box and use that good European in and out style, he really impressed me that night too. But the difference, and I always say this about champions, it's not just about the jabs and the rights and the hooks and the movement and having the endurance. It's being able to make adjustments during a fight. And you were able to make another adjustment on top of his adjustment. That's why I got asked after, what'd you think about that fight? I'm like, that's how you become a world champion right there. And not just getting a belt. You're not just a titleist. You're a world champion now. And you showed that, and I believe you're going to be a world champion for a long time. So that leads me to my next question. Are we staying at 26? Are we going for 30? What's happening next?
I really don't know. We just gotta wait and see. I could do one more fight at 126, depending on who it's against and what the numbers is looking like. But you know, I want to go up to 130. I want to fight the world champions up at 130. So yeah, that's where we at with it right now.
We will continue with our conversation with the WBA featherweight champion of the world from Camden, New Jersey, Ray Ford, here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. Back here on Spotlight interview with Raymond Ford, WBA featherweight champion. Paulie, what do you have for the champ?
You know, my question was, I've been hearing some stories, Ray, about that you and Eddie Hearn met over social media, DM. Was that when you were still an amateur? You DM'd him and just sort of gauge his interest, or he DM'd you? Can you tell us about that? That's a very interesting. I mean, I'm sure this happens more often than not at times, but the fact that this ended in the fight of winning a world championship, it kind of puts a great closure to the entire meaning and the story. How did that happen? Who DM'd who, and when was it, and all that stuff? Take us through that.
Yeah, so after I won the 2018 National Golden Gloves, Eddie Hearn, he followed me on Instagram. And then he DM'd me. And then I said, what'd I say? I said something like, I forgot what I said. It was something like, thank you for, tuning in and, following my journey. And then he said he heard great things about me. And basically he was asking like what I was doing. I said I was going to try out for the Olympics. And I went to the qualifiers. I qualified for the trials, but then I ended up turning pro. Well, no, I DM'd him and I told him I was ready to turn pro. And then I met with him in New York, and then, we was talking. He brought me out to one of the fights that he had in New York. And then he got me a contract ready, and the rest is history.
That fast.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray, I rewatched the fight again for like the third time this morning. And just the end, hearing Joe Tessitore say, there's a new champion. He comes from New Jersey, and his name is Ray Ford. I mean, look, I was just watching it, and I know how it made me feel. I want to know, there was a moment that the cameras, they caught you right as you were being announced as champion. You were on the phone with someone. Who was it you were talking to?
Shakur.
I thought it was Shakur. I thought it was, okay.
Yeah, he called me.
So talk about the relationship you have with Shakur.
That's my brother. He's been, in my corner since I was in the amateurs. I've been doing my last camps with him, my last 4 to 5 fights. I've been, at Shakur's house, doing my camps out there with him and stuff. So he's been in my corner this whole journey pretty much. And him, I know I made him proud just, for him seeing my journey from the amateurs and then, transitioning into the pros and, me constantly getting better over time. I know he's genuinely happy for me.
Ray, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. We could talk to you for another half hour or another hour about your great story and your great journey to becoming a world champion. Raymond Ford here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. Any last things you want to promote, Ray, before we go?
Nothing really. Just follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Ray Savage 856, and my YouTube page. Subscribe to that. You can just look up Raymond Ford.
I would add in one thing. I think from
Quickly.
all of us, I would think that maybe everybody seconds this, but I know it's still early in the year, but your fight of the year right now in my book anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
yes.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Raymond Ford, thank you very much for your time here on ProBox TV. And as they said in Trading Places, well, now, where's your big time champ? Yeah, that was a horrible reference. Anyway, thanks, Ray. We appreciate your time here on Spotlight Interview. Don't forget, like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and we'll see you again here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel.